Yo, what's up guys? How y'all doing? Today's video is going to be a bit different. As you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about the 10-year anniversary of an old LEGO theme and TV show called Legends of Chima. Now before we begin, yes, I love Chima and I'm a huge fan of it. For those of you who don't like Chima, go ahead, spew down your hate comments, dislike the video. I don't care. With that out of the way, let's dive right into the video and look back on 10 years of LEGO Legends of Chima. So, first and foremost, what is LEGO Legends of Chima? Back when Ninjago initially ended with Season 2, the final battle in 2012, LEGO already had plans to replace it with another original theme the very next year. We got one final set wave in January, and that was it. And then, Legends of Chima was born. Chima is about tribes of anthropomorphic warriors battling for control over these crystal power orbs called Chi. The sets were very unique, giving us cars, tanks, boats, jets, mechs, and other vehicles that resemble the animals driving them. The sets also gave us some of the best and most unique minifigures in LEGO history, giving us these really cool animal headpieces that go over the normal minifigure heads with animal faces printed on. They're very similar to the Batman cowl pieces, with a mask over a printed minifigure head covering everything but the eyes, which gives a really unique and distinguished look. We also got a lot of other great molds, like the Chi harnesses and the Chi swords, like the Valius and the Vengblade. Like Ninjago, Chima had a gimmick to get people into the theme. They were these one-wheeled motorcycles called speedors. How they worked is you had the rip cord you would push into a slot, rip it, and send the speedor flying. They were the best. We got another gimmick as well. They were these bionicle figures which represent the animals powering up with Chi. These unfortunately didn't sell well, but seriously, these things are incredibly underrated. I wish I had gotten some of them. The story goes like this.
We weren't always the advanced and sophisticated creatures we are now. Once, many, many centuries ago, there were no buildings or vehicles or tribes in Chima, just jungles and plains, and creatures that walked on all fours. One day, the sky opened up and blessed the land, pulling Mount Kavora from the heart of Chima. The water that flowed from this mountain was different, powerful, transformative, full of a life force we now call Chi. Those who drank from it became smarter, more complex, evolved. However, some in Chima chose not to embrace the Chi. They stayed simple and pure, vanishing into the outlands, never to be seen again. These creatures are now known as the Legend Beasts. It is said they will return one day when Chima needs them most, but few here believe they even exist anymore. Mount Kavora still supplies us with Chi today, but it is collected here in the Lion Temple, where it forms into powerful orbs, thanks to the special minerals in the sacred pool.
As for the main story, it's about two best friends, Laval the Lion and Cragger the Crocodile, who are a dynamic duo, like Woody and Buzz, Frodo and Sam, Mike and Sully, Shrek and Donkey, McQueen and Mater, George and the man with the yellow hat, and every other iconic pair we know and love. These guys just played around with each other, laughing, having a good time. Best buds.
Banana!
Banana? Banana what?
Banana on the crocodile's tail!
Munchies. Thanks, Crocodile.
What? Hey, put me down, Gorzan.
That's another one for me, you mouthy mud lover.
Oh, go cough up a hairball, you overgrown cat.
Then one day, Cragger asks Laval if he wants to sneak in and see the sacred pool of chi in the Lion Temple. Laval is hesitant, but agrees.
Last one there's a rotten skunk.
When they come to the pool, Cragger is intrigued and says,
Oh, hold on a sec. Haven't you always wanted to feel what it's like?
but then Laval reminds him that they're still too young and haven't reached the age of becoming yet, and can't use chi until then. But he doesn't listen. He grabs an orb, plugs it into his chest, and then a bionicle-like crocodile emerges above his head, glowing with red energy, pulsing through his body, giving him a major power-up. He then runs out of the temple, out of control, with too much power. Laval hops on his speedor and chases after him. He catches up to him and gets pinned to the ground until Laval's father Legravis and some lion guards come in and chain Cragger before he can cause more damage. Then Legravis, being the masculine leader he is, talks to Laval.
Are you okay, Laval? What were you thinking? Sneaking into the Lion Temple? Taking chi?
We just wanted a peek. I didn't know he was gonna plug an orb.
You're both too young for chi. Until the age of becoming, it's too powerful. Look at what happens. That's why we have these rules. Cragger could have really hurt himself. Or one of you.
I'm sorry, Dad. We were just trying to have some fun.
Fun? Sometimes, Laval. You really have to ask yourself, is this the right thing to do? Is it? Now I have to explain this to Cragger's parents. And you know how they are.
Later that evening, Cragger and his parents, Queen Cronkit and King Cromnus, come to discuss what happened with Laval and Legravis. But Cragger's parents think Laval made him do it. Laval tries to explain what happened, but is unsuccessful. The conflict remains unresolved. The next day, Cragger is messing around with Wars the Wolf and delivers the best line of the entire series.
Will you stop that? Maybe you should see if Laval is available for your little kitty games.
Hey, not kitty games. They're fighting games. For kids.
Then he sneaks back into the Lion Temple to try and steal more chi with Wars. But Legravis catches up, and then Wars runs off. He then tries to blame Laval, but Laval walks in and says,
Really? Because I haven't been allowed out of my room in weeks. Just ask those guys there. They've been guarding it.
Cragger rushes off, and Laval chases after him on a speedor. They ride all the way up to the Fangs, a rocky elevation with caves and sinkholes all over the place. Before they got there, Cragger sent up a flare alerting the Crocs and the Lions by accident. Both armies meet at the Fangs for a full-on battle. The tribes start fighting when suddenly the Croc tank Cragger's parents are in flips over and dangles over a cliff. Cragger tries to save his parents, but he isn't strong enough. Legravis is luckily in a lying tank, towing them to more stable ground. Cragger continues to struggle, and then, just as the tank is being pulled up, Cragger makes the rash decision to cut the rope instead of letting the lions pull them. And so, the tank falls down the Gorge of Eternal Depth. But surprise, surprise, the Gorge isn't eternal. And his parents are alive. We'll get to that in a minute. Later, back at the swamp, Cragger starts feeling really bad because he really realizes the mistake he made. His sister Crueler comes in. By the way, she is the real villain of the series and pulls this thing called a persuader plant from behind her back and uses it to manipulate Cragger's mind and convinces him to attack the Lion Temple and take all the chi. The next day, Laval had finally reached the age of becoming, so he was searching his room for his harness. For in just a moment, he was going to plug an orb of chi into his chest and feel the power of nature itself. he goes absolute beast mode on Sir Punch-a-Lot.
Sir Punch-a-Lot. Now is not the time. But then again,
And his name is John C.
In the meantime, Gregor has teamed up with the wolves and ravens, making his army even larger, and storms into the temple and steals the orb of chi Laval was about to plug into his chest. Laval then chases after him on his speedor.
Who let the cat out?
drop the chi, swamp boy.
Never!
Just like a mud lover to do things the messy way.
No, no! Time to fly some fur!
They then come to the Forever Rock, where Laval now has him cornered.
Mind if I take this tail out for a swing? Now, surrender, thief.
But then, when his crown falls off, he realizes it's Krager, and is confused. Krager then blames Laval for his parents' fall.
You did nothing to save them. You could have gotten me that chi!
No, I couldn't. It's not mine to give. It belongs to all of Chima.
He then tries to plug the orb into his chest when Krager tackles him and throws him in the water and runs off. Back at the Lion Temple, the Crocs, Wolves, and Ravens are proving to be too much for the Lions, even with the help of the Eagles and Gorillas. Just as Laval was drowning, he gets pulled out of the water to dry land. Right there before him stands a large lion on all fours, the Lion Legend Beast. Back at the battlefield, Krager is in a bus with Cruller. The effects of the Persuader plant are beginning to wear off, and Krager starts to regret what he did. So Cruller gives Krager another dose. Laval then appears, riding the Lion Beast. Krager quickly plugs another orb and charges at Laval, but the Lion Beast just swats him away like it's nothing. Laval picks up the orb that came off Krager on impact and plugs it into his chest, unleashing the power of nature itself. He then jumps in midair and kicks Krager. Krager and his whole army then retreat.
And he's gone.
You could have completely destroyed him, you know.
Yeah, I know, Dad. The chi gave me that power. But it also gave me the strength to set him free instead.
Today, son, you really have become a true lion warrior. For Chima!
Where's the Legend Beast going?
Don't know, but I'm sure he'll be back when we need him most. Just like the great story says.
The great story? But I thought you always said that was so boring.
Nah, it just needed a better ending. And now, it has that.
And the first season continues with many battles, humor, and heart between our 8 main tribes of Lion, Croc, Eagle, Wolf, Gorilla, Raven, Rhino, and Bear. Eventually, the conflict is resolved, and the tribes are now allies rather than enemies. Now, I could go on and on about this first season, but that would make the video too long. So let's now move on to Season 2. A shorter season, but great nonetheless. So you know how I said Krager's parents were alive? Well, that's where our story begins. They were down in the gorge, slowly making their way through the caves. In one of the earlier episodes, Laval steals the Croc's chi and throws it down the gorge. Krager's parents see the chi raining down from above, so they chase after it. Unfortunately, they didn't recover any of those orbs, and instead the orbs transformed the likes of scorpions, spiders, and bats into an army of fierce warriors that wanted one thing: more chi. Towards the end of Season 1, Mount Kavora's waterfalls dry up. A mysterious black cloud is stopping the flow of chi. That mysterious black cloud was really the bats, and they were carrying the spiders up to the falls to seal up the openings with their webs, and then steal the chi from inside Kavora. The crawlers also ended up capturing the legend beasts. The legend beasts are the only ones who can restart Mount Kavora. So our 8 main heroes, Laval, Krager, Eris, Wariz, Gorzan, Razar, Rogon, and Bladvik, embark on a quest into the Outlands to free the legend beasts and save Kavora. Now, before we keep going, I just want to say I worked very hard to try and get all these clips and images for this video. It was very hard to find these. Chima isn't super well known, and there wasn't a lot put out for it. And the stuff they did put out for it is really hard to find. So if I end up repeating some clips and images, I apologize. Anyways, in the Outlands, they meet Laval's uncle Lavertus, who had been exiled for years. He was actually the mysterious speedo racer in Season 1 known as Shadowwind. He had won a bunch of races and stocked up on golden chi, which is how he was able to build his lair. They eventually free all the legend beasts and restart Kavora. Now we move to Season 3, the final season. Laval at the end of Season 2 gives King Scorm his share of chi and says the famous line,
Use it well. Use it wisely.
Scorm gets really confused and frustrated that he would just give him the chi instead of fighting him. So he throws the chi he has left further underground. The chi then awakens ancient hunter tribes of saber-toothed tigers, vultures, mammoths, and later even ice bears. They had been trapped in the ice so long that they became its master and now freeze anything in their path. Being trapped in the ice for so long, they actually need one orb in their chest to power them, so they need a separate orb that they eat to power up. Yeah, it's kind of strange. They then begin to freeze over Chima. The tribes try to fight back, but they're too powerful. Eris starts having dreams of an ancient tribe of phoenixes, and then Laval, Krager, and Eris discover a secret fire temple inside of Mount Kavora. There they meet Fluminox and the Phoenix and tigers. They then learn of the Great Illumination, which was basically when the Phoenix made these golden fire wing harnesses that made Mount Kavora rise out of the ground. Fluminox was the 9th Phoenix, but he did not end up helping the other 8 with the Great Illumination. Thus, it was incomplete. Fluminox then gifts the 8 main tribes with fire chi. This is much more powerful than normal chi, and they gain fiery abilities to help combat the ice hunters. But the ice hunters were powerful, so our 8 main heroes search for the fire wings. Once they have them, they fly after the ice hunters, who are making their way into Mount Kavora. This time, Fluminox's son Flinx unlocks his fire wings, and with the 8 heroes, completes the illumination. Afterwards, the land is unfrozen. Even the ice hunters have now been warmed, physically and spiritually. The Phoenix then fly off into the sun, and thus ends the series. Unfortunately, Ninjago was just way more popular, so Chima ended in 2015. But even today, the Chima community is still going strong. And let me just say this. I infinitely love Ninjago and Chima equally. And had great moments. It had great moments with the tribes, the world building, and everything in between. I especially loved the friendship between Laval and Krager. The story of two best buds, laughing, having a good time, then having conflict that tests their friendship, which then leads to them bonding as brothers and warriors in the end. That's just so impactful to me. And there are two awesome YouTubers, the Chima channel and LegoBoy0123, who make amazing Chima content. I have links to both their channels in the description below. Seriously, go sub to these guys. Also my cousin's channel, Chicken Strips. Seriously, amazing content, especially his Black Knight trilogy. I'll also have the link to his channel. You should absolutely sub. Anyways, Chima is so freaking amazing. Heck, it's even crossed over with Ninjago, confirming another one of the 16 realms. And although it probably won't come back, it will live on in our hearts. And you know, maybe it will, but if that's all we're ever going to get, I'm happy about it. Wrapping all this up, I just want to say, I love Chima, and its legacy will live on. For Chima.
Dude! Bro!
The Phoenix spoke to me for one last time, but they didn't use words. It was more of a feeling, a sense that this time, the illumination was perfect. There was no longer any reason for them to stay. They had completed their task and would now ascend gloriously to their mother sun. As Fluminox promised, the illumination made everything and everyone better. Families reunited, new friends and old friends together again. The land and its creatures completely healed. This magical world, this paradise of wonder, completely restored. And when I say everything is better, I mean everything.
What do you see out there, Laval? Lots of things. I see hope. I see joy. I see the power of nature bringing us together instead of pulling us all apart. I see a world in balance and a future without limits. But most of all, I see the spirit of our friendship. I see the legends of Chima.
Quick question. How do we get down from here?
Whoa! Finally made it back. We've been lost in that jungle for hours.
Yeah, but didn't there used to be a flower here? We must be on the wrong road.
Stinky wrong road.